I was
The protesters out here, they've moved on. We did see some state patrol cars peel off about an hour ago. Protesters packed Buford Highway and Briarwood Road, many carrying signs and chanting. They're calling for an end to mass deportations. Police from Brookhaven, Chamblee, and Georgia State Patrol were out here, some in riot gear. The people were passionate. They were loud, and for the most part, they remained peaceful. The demonstrators are protesting against the Trump administration as it ramps up mass deportations. The administration cracking down on immigration. We spoke with some protesters. They worry about their communities and families. Take a listen.
He's been here for 25 plus years. Working, cutting grass, helping people out, always showing love to everybody. And they just decided to kick him out for no reason.
No matter what, and treating us differently. Most of these families, they really just come here. My mom here, she really just came here for a better life for us. I think that them just criticizing, immediately calling us immigrants, I just think that's
All of this as the president steps up deportation efforts around the nation. The president ordering Marines and the National Guard to California. ICE says the troops there are protecting federal facilities. The president and defense secretary defended deploying troops to Los Angeles. Take a listen.
It's never going to happen. What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and on national sovereignty carried out by rioters bearing foreign flags with the aim of continuing a foreign invasion of our country. We're not going to let that happen.
So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country. Especially after
this instance, we're talking about federal facilities, courthouses, detention centers, DHS offices, so that's not really that extreme. It's not like the National Guard is riding around in the streets of Los Angeles on the back of striker vehicles. They're simply standing posts. They're protecting facilities, making sure that none of our agents are hurt and that none of our buildings are damaged.
And on that point, the Marines there in LA have limited powers at this present. But if the president did invoke something like the Insurrection Act, that would afford them more authority to act. How likely do you think that might be, and what kind of authority would that afford the Marines?
I don't think it's very likely that that's going to happen. The deployment of these troops to Los Angeles sends a message to both California state authorities and Los Angeles authorities that we expect order to be reinstilled in those communities. There was a big delay in sending out sheriff's deputies, sending out local cops when we saw riots break out in Los Angeles proper, in the city of Paramount, when we saw rioters attempt to breach federal buildings. And that's unacceptable. We understand that California has a law that it doesn't cooperate in ICE, investigations or arrests. And that's fine. That is their right. But at the same time, they must maintain order in the city. And if they don't, the federal government is going to step in and do it. That's what Trump is saying. And right now, Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is complaining that Trump has somehow inflamed what's going on there. It was already inflamed by Saturday night when President Trump issued his memo to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth to call out those troops. So, again, this is primarily California's job, and if they do it, those troops are going to be pulled. We're not going to see them.
And on the point of this,
He was picked for other reasons, but this guy wouldn't call the National Guard, and we ultimately just sent in the National Guard. We stopped it, but that was after 7 days. And I said,
Also declared the protests are peaceful. This is Representative Yvette Clarke speaking about it. Watch.
But let me be clear. Congressional Democrats stand in full solidarity with the residents of Los Angeles, with our immigrant sisters and brothers, and with the peaceful protesters who dare to speak out
peaceful
and who will support every effort to oppose this president's abuse of power.
Congresswoman Maxine Waters, a Democrat from California, also spoke about this and also said there was no violence. Watch.
And even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot, nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence. I was on the street. I know. And I went from downtown detention back out into the community, talking to people what happened in Paramount, what happened in Compton, what happened in Inglewood. So, first of all, get it straight and don't just rely on what you're being told or the few incidents that you saw.
Now, not everybody agrees with that. Here's Speaker Mike Johnson's response when asked about Representative Waters' statement.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What is your reaction to Congresswoman Maxine Waters repeatedly saying that there has been no violence in the LA riots? And do you believe that Democrats are making a mistake by not talking about what's really going on here?
Clearly, the Democrats are making a mistake by taking the wrong side here, and I'm just going to, in my southern gentlemanly way, say bless her heart. Maxine Waters. I don't even know how to comment on Maxine Waters anymore. It's madness. I'm going to be charitable and leave it right there.
That response says it all, I think, for Republicans, but it's not just Republicans. Even Democrats are responding to this. Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, he issued a statement condemning the violence. Here's what he wrote on X. He said, I unapologetically stand for free speech.
I guess that'll make him a racist
and
now.
Immigration. But this is not that. This is anarchy and true chaos. My party loses the moral high ground when we refuse to condemn setting cars on fire, destroying buildings, and assaulting law enforcement. Now, in response to Senator Fetterman, Senator Chuck Schumer said the claims that there's violence in LA is outrageous. CNN said this. He said the bottom line is that violence in the riots is outrageous and should never happen, full stop. That's the bottom line. And anyone who commits violence or breaks the law should be fully prosecuted, he told reporters, it says. It adds further in, progressive firebrand Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also responded to Fetterman's criticism and said, quote, I think we should absolutely
assist illegal immigrants. That amount represents half of Immigration and Customs Enforcement's total budget for the fiscal year 2025 nationwide. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Luis Eduardo Martinez, NTD News.
It seems, as far as statewide policy goes, as far as the federal policy, like moving in and restricting students from coming to campuses and things like that, that seems to be the big issue.
What do you guys make of the idea of a sanctuary city?
I think a sanctuary city is stupid because it gives the illegals and other people, unknown actors, someplace to hide.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even look at New York City. I mean, we wouldn't even go there anymore. They're just laying on the streets.
It is the policy of the state that state officers or employees shall not disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement.
These governors handcuff law enforcement from doing their jobs, harbor predators, and call it compassion. Congress must consider whether to defund every single penny of federal dollars going to cities and states that prioritize criminal, illegal aliens over the American people.
Democratic government use LA County as an example. So LA County sheriff arrests someone. They put them in jail for a crime. The person gets then released on his or her own recognizance because we now have no more cash bail. Instead of knowing that when they find out that the person is illegal, law enforcement is prohibited from communicating with ICE. That person goes back out on the fence or goes back out into the general public and offends again. And I'm not making this up. We have more than just one or two examples. We have examples across the nation, in Illinois, in Minnesota, in New York State, in Los Angeles, California, where criminal illegal aliens have been arrested multiple times. The local jurisdiction cannot communicate with federal ICE officials to deport them, and they have killed, raped, and done other heinous crimes to Americans. And Democratic politicians support this. That is your modern day Democratic Party.
No, that ain't natural. That's some sort of a fungus. I'm down here in John Lewis, North Avenue, Freedom. I believe it's going to have to be seen by somebody.